of learning Japanese. Yeah, I mean, yeah. You know. We learned JavaScript. Why can't I hear anything? What's off? We learned JavaScript. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Oh. Hi, Taiga-san. Konnichiwa. 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 Hi. Takoake omedetou. Omedetou, nice. Hi. What's up? How you doing? What you do? Dame. Okay, so let's learn. Hi. So I was doing the functions section, so I need to learn the I need to finish this section. I was halfway through it, so I'm gonna finish this one, then arrow functions and the basics. Then we directly will jump onto the objects. We're gonna learn about this and this, garbage collection, maybe, or there's some of this optional chaining. I guess so. We can learn that optional chaining too. Yeah, all that. We'll do. First, let's just finish the function section. Okay, I actually did some of it, but let's just revise everything. I'm just gonna read from the starting. Good boy. Hi. Functions. Quite often we need to perform a similar action in many places of the script. For example, we need to show a nice looking message when a visitor logs in, logs out, and maybe somewhere else. Functions are the main building blocks of the program. They allow the code to be called many times without repetition. We have already seen examples of built-in functions like alert, message, prompt, message default, and confirm question, but we can create functions of all our own as well. Actually, I'm not gonna type all this because I've already done it. Functions declaration. To create a function, we can use a function declaration. Function, the name, and then the code inside the code block. The function keyword goes first, then goes the name of the function. Then a list of parameters between a parentheses, comma separated here, empty in the example, but we'll see example later, and finally the code, which is here. Also name the function body between curly braces. Namikakko function name parameters 1, 2, 3, 4 till n, and then we have the body. That's where we write our code. Our new function can be called by its name, so we can call it like that. Why am I not? The function, the call, show message executes the code of the function. Here we will see the message 2 times. This example clearly demonstrates one of the main purposes of the function to avoid code duplication. If we ever need to change the message or the way it is shown, it's enough to modify the code in one place the function which outputs it. If we ever need to change the message on the way it is shown, it's enough to modify the code in one place the function which outputs it. Okay. Local variables, variable declaration declared inside a function is only visible inside that function. So that's the function. Inside it we have declared a message variable with a string. So it's only limited, this variable is only limited to this function, and it cannot be used by other function or outside of this code block. Cannot be used. I don't know. Okay, so hello JavaScript, we do that, hello JavaScript, we get that. But if we alert message, cause the alert function cannot access the message variable inside this, so it's gonna throw an error. The variable is local to the function, which is that outer variables. A function can access outer variables as well. So if we outside of this function code block, we declare a function here, okay, outside. So now it's a global variable which can be used by the functions that are inside the big code block. So we do that, and we can use it. The function has full access to the outer variable. It can modify it as well. We can modify it too. For instance, let username is John, username is Bob. Change the outer variable. So message hello Bob, it will show hello Bob John before the function call. Okay, this thing is gonna show this because we haven't called the function yet. But now that we have called the function, okay, what it's gonna do, if we will try to alert the username variable, it's gonna show Bob, okay, and that's because we have updated over here. Change the outer variable. The outer variable is only used if there is no local one. If a same named variable is declared inside the function, then it is shadowed. It shadows the outer one. For instance, in the code below, the function uses the local username, the outer one is ignored. Okay, I'm not writing all this because I've already written here. Username is John, and then we can declare variables with the same name inside a function too. Inside a function, declares a local variable. So for this code block, when any of these statements will ask for this username variable, it's gonna use this username instead of this, cause if we already have some variable with the same name present in the inside of a function code block locally, then we just totally ignores the globally present variable. So we're gonna use this. So hello Bob, it's gonna show hello Bob, and okay, this doesn't mean that we have changed the value of this variable. No, this variable is on its own. Okay, it's a different variable, but this one is limited to this code block only. So yeah, we can do whatever we want with it. My god, but it's not gonna change the thing. Actually, you know what, I wanna try something. I'm not gonna write down that. For instance, let's say username, we changed it to Kalu is the guy. Okay, now could not find username. What do you mean? Oh my god. Okay, this should show only this John, which is John, cause it shouldn't update that. Why do I always get the spelling wrong of John? What's wrong with you, John? Hello Bob, John. Okay, it showed John. Okay. Hello Bob, and then we have John. Okay, that's it's going to show John. If if we want to console, let's do console for this variable username this today. So if we do that, okay, it's gonna show of course that, and then this one. So this one is for this one, okay, because we updated over here. So this is the local variable, not that. Okay, childish thing. Global variables declared outside of any function, such as the outer username in the code above, are called global variables. Global variables are visible from any function unless shadowed by locals. Okay, being shadowed by local variables just means a variable with the same name declared inside a function which is already present globally. So this thing was already present globally, but with the same name we declared new variables limited to this function only. So now it is being shadowed by this. Okay, so it totally ignores it being shadowed. That's what it means. Ignore. Get the hell out of here like that. It's a good practice to minimize the use of global variables. Modern code has few or no global variables. Most variables reside inside the function. Sometimes though they can be useful to store project level data parameters. We can pass arbitrary data to functions using parameters. In the example below, the function has two parameters, from and text. We have two parameters, okay, from and text. I think for these parameters we don't need to declare, like, you know, like what are they going to be. They can be anything, a string, all that, you know, I guess so, right? Yeah, because I've done it. Shmeka. We can pass arbitrary data to the, okay, yeah, like arbitrary data. So that means it, we can pass arbitrary data to the functions using parameters. In the example, I think it was C or some language. Where do you need to define the, I think it was Java. You need to define the what you call it, like what type of these parameters too. I think so. Like if it was going to be int, then you need like int from, like that. No, I'm not sure. We can pass arbitrary data to functions using parameters. In the example below, the function has two parameters, from and text, like that. From text is going to alert show message. So and hello, and is going to go there, and hello is boom, you know, boom. Oh, okay, I got it. When the function is called, with line asterisk, this and then this, the given values are copied to local variables from and text, then the function uses them. Here's one more example. We have a variable from, I think default values, no, I was around here. No, I read this one too. This one as well. I think I almost read everything. I think I was around this part, so not much. Yeah. Then we have the okay, a little bit of more. Okay, here's one more example. We have a variable from and pass it to the function. Please note the function changes from, but the change is not seen outside because a function always gets a copy of the value. Please note the function changes from, but the change is not seen outside because a function always gets a copy of the value. So that's an. We're getting an over here, and is like, and then we all have that, you know. And this is going to go on there. This is here, and this text, this thing. So this is over here. The value of from is the same. The function modified local copy alert from. When a value is passed as a function parameter, it is called argument. Okay, so when I call, so this is called parameter over here, but when we call it, it's a parameter. And what's the second? Arguments. So these are arguments and these are parameters. Parameters for the function and arguments for the call, function call. Yeah, no. When a value is passed to a function parameter, it is called argument. That's argument. God dang it. What's argument? No, in other words, to put these terms, a parameter is the variable listed inside the parenthesis in the function declaration. Yeah, that's parameter. An argument is the value that is passed to the function when it is being called. These are arguments. these are just terms. Like one of the big reasons why I'm doing all this over again is because of the terms. Yeah, I've studied these things quite a long time ago, so yeah, the terms are not very clear to me. We declared functions listing their parameters, then call them passing arguments. In the example above, we declare a function listing with parameters and then call them passing arguments. As an example above, one may see the function show message is declared with 2 parameters and called with 2 arguments from the default value. If a function is called, you can set a default value like that. So if in case you do not pass the argument for this variable, it's gonna automatically, by default, it's gonna set the value of this variable to this string over here that we have by default assigned over here. But yeah, but in case if we are using, if you are defining defining the second variable over here, like anything, any text, so it's gonna go store over here and it's totally gonna ignore this thing, like it doesn't even exist for this thing like that, and then that any text is gonna go over here and then it's gonna show the alert with that. That's not an error, such a call word. Now for instance, the aforementioned, wait a minute, if a function is called but an argument is not provided, then the corresponding values become undefined. For instance, the aforementioned function show message from text can be called with a single argument, but this time it's gonna show it's not defined, undefined. So that not another, such a call would output an undefined as, I'm reading it as like a book. God damn, it's not a story. As the value for text isn't passed, it becomes undefined. We can specify the so-called default to use if omitted. Here though, I'm having a bar inside my brain. That's not an error. Such a call would output an undefined as the value of the text isn't passed, it becomes undefined. We can specify the so-called default to use if omitted. Value for a parameter in the function declaration using who cares? We ignore that. Now if the text parameter is not passed, it will get the value of no text. I already explained. The default value also jumps it in if the parameter exists but strictly equals to undefined. So like for instance, if we we are strictly defining equals whatever, if it's undefined, like in the first case we are totally not totally ignoring the second argument over here, but in this case we have defined it but it's undefined. So in this case too, it's gonna take in the default value for the text and it's gonna show this thing, no text given. Here no text given is a string, but it can be more complex expression which is only evaluated if assigned. If which is only evaluated and assigned if the parameter is missing. So this is also possible. A function show from text, another function, we can have like complicated values to who cares? Evaluation of a default parameters. In the JavaScript, the default parameter is evaluated every time the function is called without the respective parameter. In JavaScript, the default parameter is evaluated every time the function is called without the respective parameter. An example above, another function isn't called at all if the text parameter is provided. On the other hand, it's independently called every time when the text is missing. Okay, so like if this, like when the function call, we are doing the function call and we have this, but this argument is not there. Okay, then like every time when we are not defining whatever the argument for text, in the function call, then it's gonna automatically, in that case only, call this function and gonna assign the value over here to this. Because all that, default parameters in old JavaScript code. Several years ago, JavaScript didn't support the syntax for default parameters, so people used other ways to specify. Nowadays we can come across them in old scripts, for example an explicit check, undefined. We have another one too actually. What was that code? Two question marks. Nucleus, oculus, noises, noculus, monoculus, binoculars. Yeah, nullish, coalescing. Nowadays we can okay, we can like put a if statement like this. If text is not if strictly undefined, then we set the text to this, and then or using the AND operator, like it's AND operator, not AND, odd operator. It looks for the first true the value, so like this we don't give, so that's like false value. This is the true value, so it's gonna assign this thing to this, and then we can use it like here. Whatever the code will be below. Alternative default parameters. Sometimes it makes sense to assign default values for the parameter at a later stage of the function declaration. We can check if the parameter is passed during the function execution by comparing it with undefined. We can check if a parameter is passed during the function execution by comparing it with another. If the parameter is missing, okay. If the parameters is missing text, empty text, it's gonna look that. Okay, empty text. Okay, the parameter was missing over here, so okay. Empty message. Let me quickly get to the part where I can actually write the code. I think I did all these. I think I was at the returning part, like we are already, yeah, we almost there. Or we could use the AND all operators like this and that. Modern JavaScript engines support the nullish coalescing operators. It's better when a most falsy value, such as like 0 is also a falsy value. So for in this case, even if we'll the text we provided, like when we call the function, and here we have 0, so this thing, like because of this statement, it's gonna assign like this OR operator. It looks for the first true the value. So for this thing, 0 is also a falsy value, so it's not gonna recognize, deem it, and like I don't care, it's gonna assign this thing to here. Like in those cases, we can use the nullish coalescing operator is better when most falsy values such as 0 should be considered normal. The show count, so here in this case, okay, I already have a, yeah. Just can't you just remove the answers? Okay, so 0, so it's gonna be 0. Okay. Like this is totally being ignored. But if it's null or undefined, for example, if it's null or undefined, then it's like it looks for the values. Kana. Like, you know, null or undefined. Other than that, it can have anything, I guess. Right? Yeah, looks for the defined value. Yeah, if it's defined, if it's not null or undefined, it's like, okay, I'll accept it. And the same thing over here, returning a function value. Yeah, I was here. Show movie something I did. Yeah, this. Okay. Returning a value, a function can return a value back into the calling code as the result. The simplest example would be a function that sums two values. So return. We are returning a value. We are not doing anything but just returning a value. So pop. Hi. The directive return can be in any place of the function when the execution reaches it, the function stops and the value is returned to stop. Return to the calling code assigned to result above. There may be many occurrences of return in a single function. We can have if statements and we can have multiple return statements over here. So if this case is true, it's gonna do like true, it's gonna return true, and then totally gonna ignore that. Hey, all that, yeah, it's basic stuff. All that if other is that we are calling the age. So you know, like this function is giving a boolean value. If this true, then true, else it, you know, it shows this, it returns this thing. And that's all. This thing also gives a boolean else actually. Just like if it's true, then it's gonna show this thing. You know, else, you know, it's gonna first do this. Okay. Now if we return something like, you know, like this thing is returning, this function is returning a boolean. So in this case, it returns directly true. But in else case, a statement, whatever, it asks, like, you know, it prompts a confirm, I think. Like that's a confirm, and then it returns a boolean value like true or false. So if it's true, then like okay. If it's false, then it goes to this thing and then access denied and get lost. It is possible to use return without a value. That causes the function to exit immediately. Function show h. If it possible to use return without a value, that causes the function to immediately exit. Okay, so not check, it's gonna reverse whatever this thing is gonna give. So if, like, for example, it show like true, it's gonna like false, boom, go home. So in the code above, the code returns false, then the show movie wouldn't proceed. Check age alert and all that. A function within empty return or without it returns undefined. Okay. Regular. If a function does not return a value, it is the same as if returned undefined. So we have a function and then it's empty. So doing undefined. An empty return is also the same as return undefined. An empty return and without a return is same as undefined. Boom. Kalu teri shaadi mein gets returning true now. Yeah, just for example, don't really need to use this function. Nothing over here, bitch. Man, sorry. And then we're calling and a function. So if use this is strictly undefined, then we can return then that we can do also. Well, my colleague has to console log. Alerts are weird. I mean, annoying. They're annoying. It's returning true. And if it was the case, like Dada, Mama. Both things are like, it's also gonna return true because like it's same if there is empty return or no return. Both are same. An empty return is also the same as return undefined. A function with an empty string or without it returns undefined, of course. What happened? Let's see some callback out. What do you mean? Hi, never add a new line between return and the value. Gonna see a callback how. Isn't it? It's fine, right? Is it fine? Is it fine? Maximum call stack size reached. Is it called callback HAL? Never add a new line between return and the value for a long expression in return. It might be tempting to put. Never add a new line. New line? What do you mean new line? Between return and okay. That's new line. Okay, like that. For a long expression in return, it might be tempting to put it on a separate line like this. Are we going from the basic? Yeah, you can say. Yep. Yeah, yep, actually. So this thing is like no return, and like that's not, that's cool. And like hi, whatever, you know, hi. So it's gonna console, god dang it, console.log and useless function that we have over here. Just gonna totally ignore this thing because it's gonna return from here. Should do that. Undefined. Okay. Undefined, and now it's returning like that. So dame, that's not allowed. Okay, so you could write this new line between, what is between like that? Between a return and value is dame, like no go. That's right. That's it. That doesn't work because JavaScript assumes a semicolon after return. That works the same as this. Okay, yeah, of course, like that. Like that, and yeah, it is being ignored. So it effectively becomes an empty return. Yeah, that's right. It's returning undefined. If we want the return expression to wrap across multiple lines, we should start it at the same line as return, like that. If we have too much code over here between these parentheses, we can do it like this. Boom. That's fine then. That's just a syntax thing. Naming a function. Yeah, I'm very bad at naming functions. Functions are actions, so their name is usually a verb. It should be, background में बकरी पता नहीं क्या कर रही है. It should be brief, as accurate as possible, and describe what the function does. So the functions are actions, so their name is usually a verb. Get, calculate, create, check. It should be brief, as accurate as possible, and describe what the function does. So that someone reading the code gets an indication of what the function does. It is a widespread practice to start a function with the verbal prefix which vaguely describes the action. There must be an agreement within the team on the meaning of prefixes. Who cares? For instance, functions that starts with show usually show something. So functions starting with get usually return a value. Okay, get return a value. Calculate something. Calculate. Okay, create something, and check something, returns a boolean value. Okay, let's take it. Hi. So like show message. Show message. It's gonna show a message. Get age. That's gonna return a value, which is the age over here. And it's gonna calculate some, create form. It's gonna create a form, and usually returns it. Check permission. It's gonna check and return a true false boolean value. I just wanna do these. Okay. Yeah. We are there. We're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4 questions, problems. I'm gonna do this. This theory is very with prefixes. Actually, one thing I need to do first. My brain is like 1,000 things happens at the same time. Like you should do that. You should do this. What the heck? Hi. That's a divider. Oh my. What the hell is that? Ya Allah. Ya Allah. Ya Khuda. अबे क्या है ये अम्मा डिवाइडर देसी होने नंदा पूरा That's okay. My keyboard कौन सा है 1100 वाला 1100 वाला क्यों it's Zabronics. Yeah, just search gaming gaming keyboard and you'll see this. It's a very cheap one. One function, one action. A function should do exactly what does. Ma आवाज़ तो बड़ी आ रही है देखो आवाज़ या बना मैं क्या गंदा हो रहा है बट बहुत one function, one action. A function should do exactly what is suggested. I don't even care about the sound actually. Like all day I have these on, so it's like noise cancellation for me. So a function should do exactly what is suggested by its name, no more. So two independent actions usually deserve two functions, even if they are usually called together. In that case, we can make a third function that calls those two. So a few, like, two independent actions usually deserves two functions. Even if they are usually called together. In that case, we can make a third function that calls two of those. यार बकरी को क्या हो रहा है background में? The goat, the neighbor's goat. Yeah. A few examples of breaking this rule. What's the topic? It's functions. It's the functions, and then I will read about the arrow functions, and then I'm gonna move on to the object section. Quickly gonna finish these. I've been slacking off for a few days, so still in the basics. Fuck. A few examples of breaking this rule. Two independent actions usually deserve two functions, even if they are usually called together. In that case, we can make a third function that calls to those two. Get each would be bad if it shown an alert with the each. Should return, should only get. But would be bad if it shows an alert with the each. Should only get. Create form would be bad if it modifies the document, adding a form to it. Should only create it and return it. So like as the function name describes, it should do only the thing. That's the best practice, Check permission function को इतना deeply मत पढ़ो, do more practical तभी समझ आएगा. I know that. I've already done things. I'm just I know that. I cannot explain why am I doing this, but I've already done a few things. I've made projects too. I've made sites too, but still I wanna read this. Check permission would be bad if it displays the access granted or denied. Message should only perform the check and return the result. When I actually go and write the code, and then I have a lot of doubts, a lot of things that I'm not clear, so that's why I'm reading this theory to clear out those doubts. Can you share resources, like what are you using to learn React? What I'm using, you see this? You see this? It's the best site to learn React. The official site has its own course. You don't have to go anywhere to learn React. And if you like to watch videos, then that's totally your preference. But the documentation is like, when you have the lengthy documentation, and then this one is like, it's a course kind of thing. While doing these topics, you will build something too. Because I've done it, and not all of these, but I do. I've done a few of these, and it really makes you think about how the code is working and all that. And exercises are also good. That's it. Yeah. These examples assume common meaning of prefixes. You and your team are free to argue on other meanings, but usually they are not. Much different in other case, you should have a firm understanding of what a prefix means, what a prefix function can and cannot do. All same prefix functions should obey the rules, and the team should share the knowledge. Ultra short function names. Functions are used very often. Sometimes have ultra short names. For example, the jQuery framework defines a function with and the Ludas library has its core function named. These are exceptions. Generally, functions name should be concise and concise and descriptive, and functions comments. Okay, do my comments. Oh, what you call this? You know, over. I know this one. Over. Like call this something. Where'd you go? I use that actually. I think it was in the loops section. God damn, why am I getting in so deep? Yeah, this one. What you call this? But I feel like if I don't know the terms, then I cannot explain my code. Like these are the reasons why I'm break label name. That's a label kana. Yeah, label the ordinary break an input. A label is an identified with a colon. Okay, that's a label for anything else. Sometimes we need to break out of there's a prompting coordinates. We need to stop a way to process these cancels. The ordinary break an input would only break the inner loop. That's not sufficient. Labels come to rescue. That's label. Okay, a label is an identifier with a colon before a loop. Okay, it's fine. That's a label. Yeah. Boom. Boom. It gets out of both of these two loops and then goes back here. I like that. Boom. Continue. Skip. Boom. Tick. Jump. Boom. Bum. Hi. Oh yeah. Functions should be short and do exactly one thing. If that thing is big, maybe it's worth it to split the function into a few smaller functions. Sometimes following this rule may not be that easy, but it's definitely a good thing. Function should be short and do exactly one thing. If that thing is big, maybe it's worth to split the function into a few smaller functions. Sometimes following this rule may not be that easy, but it's a good thing. A separate function is not only easier to test and debug, its very existence is a great comment. For instance, compare the two functions. Show prime and below each one outputs. Okay, yeah, it's gonna skip this. Yeah, I saw something. The second variant uses the additional function is prime. Okay, there are two functions over here. The same thing. Okay, let's do 1 2. Okay, so that's a for loop. Show prime numbers. So for let, it's that if continues, we're gonna skip these if it's not prime. Okay, like for this code, this right? No, for this one. Yeah, for this code we can have okay, functions equals comment. Okay, so I should do the bigger version, you know. That's our label. Max prime for let I is I will define to wait. Yeah, what am I doing? The loop goes on until it's not a navigator, bro, and it's gonna do plus plus. So again we have one more for loop over here.